All right, and from student loan debt to having enough to buy your first home, parents want to set up their kids up for financial success. But when do you start and what accounts should you open?
Joining us again is financial advisor Ernest Burley from Burley Insurance and Financial Services. So, Mr. Burley, where should parents start when they're setting up accounts for their children? What 3 accounts should they start with?
Well, I recommend 3 accounts that they should set up. One being a savings account, the second one being an investment account, and the third being a 529 plan.
I was one of those who followed that advice years ago with my children who are now grown. Why the investment plan?
Awesome sauce. Well, the investment account is there to try to grow over time. So the ideal there is to put money into that account and that one of your children's best friends, not John, not Mary, not Joe, but compound interest, that's going to be their best friends over time, to kind of grow and expand on that particular account to make it even more. So just a quick example. Say you put away $100 a month for 18 years and it grows by 10% a year annually, it will be worth over $60,000. You can do a lot with $60,000 at age 18. You can buy a car. You can buy several cars. I don't recommend that, but it gives you options to help the child out early in life. A lot of children are entrepreneurs. You can help them launch their business. A lot of things to do just with $100 per month over that time.
I see. So will the child be the owner of the account or will the parent have control of it?
Well, these accounts are called custodial accounts, so a child can't enter into a contract. So the parent, grandparent, uncle, aunt, anyone can really open up these accounts, will have control over the account and manage it, but at age 18, the money does belong to the child at that point.
And so how is it taxed?
Well, speak to your advisor, your accountant on this, but this is the way it kind of works. It's very friendly. Any unearned income under $2,500 is pretty much subject to the kiddie tax. So the first $1,250 or so is exempt from taxes. The next $1,250 is taxed at the child's tax rate. Anything over $2,500 as far as unearned income is taxed at the parent's rate.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned a 529 plan. Can you explain what that is?
That's a plan that helps. It gives you a tax benefit for trying to save for your child's future education costs. So the sooner you start one of those, the better, because one of your children's best friends, right, compound interest, will help you grow that plan over time. So the sooner you start, the better with the 529 plan because of the tax benefits.
The 529 plan recently had some issues in Maryland. Has everything been settled with that? Is it a okay investment now?
Yeah, I think it's a great plan because 529 plan is a 529 plan. So I'm not truthfully familiar with what happened with the Maryland plan, but the benefit is on the back end of it. So the money that's earned in the plan is tax free as long as it's used for qualified education expenses. So I don't know what happened there.
There was an accounting error, so a lot of people had some problems getting their money out.
Yeah, that's not cool. But if you keep your statements, you can kind of track what you put into the plan, which is your principal, and the gains. They send out quarterly statements and also annual statements. So definitely keep track with your statements.
Okay. So what if a child doesn't end up going to college or university? Can they use those savings for something else?
Yes. What you can do is transfer it to another immediate family member in the household. So that's what you'd have to do. To a sibling or even a parent or spouse in that same household, you can transfer the account to them and keep that tax benefit or that tax qualified status on it.
And how do the contributions, we talked a little bit about how they're taxed, but can they be written off somehow?
No, they can't be written off. So that's the advantage of the plan is on the back end. So the money that goes into the plan is after-tax money. But the growth on it is tax-free as long as it's used for educational purposes. So you can't write it off. You can't take a tax deduction. But the growth on it, say, for instance, I have another example, $200 a month for 18 years, earning 10%, will be worth over $120,000. So the gain on that account would be about $77,000. That's tax-free as long as it's used for qualified education expenses. So we want to do that.
Is that just the compound interest part of it that's taxed? It's your original contribution, you're okay, right?
Right. The original contribution is after-tax money. So that's like the Roth IRA. The money you put into it has to have already been taxed. The growth on it is what's tax-free as long as it's used for qualified education expenses.
So is there a penalty if the funds aren't used for qualified educational expenses?
Well, that's a yes and a no. The principal isn't penalized because that's the money you put in after tax already. So you're not going to be have any repercussions on that. But the gain does have to be used for qualified education expenses, or else you'll be paying taxes on it and a 10% penalty. So please use it for qualified education expenses. You got
Go
room
back
and
to
board,
school. That's the
tuition,
bottom
all
line.
that stuff. Yes, definitely.
All right, Mr. Burley, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we just want to mention that Burley Insurance and Financial Services has no affiliation with Next Financial Group.
And individuals should contact their own financial professionals and attorneys to help answer questions about specific situations or needs prior to taking any action based on this information. And after